Okay, this is the page in the IEP that has the place where you document the programs and services that you're going to provide for the student. So remember to read the quick tips that you have related to special ed services and programs, section 7, because it's going to give you some more detail. I only want you to worry on this page about the reporting progress, because that's something that you need to document on the IEP. The parents will regularly be informed in writing of progress on goals and objectives of the IEP, yes, and how in written reports or whatever you determine with the parents, and then when. Remember, they have to get it whenever the gen ed students get it, so usually there's a midterm and a final grading period. So put that. We're not going to worry about the here in terms of the teacher's endorsement. That's something that you determine in the IEP. You don't have to worry about filling it out. It's just sometimes the student has to be placed with a teacher with a specific endorsement. So if the student's cognitively impaired, they may need a teacher with a cognitive impairment endorsement. Sometimes they don't. So you would answer that no or yes and then tell why. Resource program only. If there's a teacher consultant, like the student's not going to have a educator assigned to them, they're going to have a consultant that's working with them, and do they need that? And then a departmentalized program is just how it's set up, whether the special ed teachers are teaching one specific class, like there's a teacher that teaches only the math, and there's one that teaches only the English, or if the teacher can be in the LD classroom and teach math, reading, English, whatever. So then you just have to determine whether the programs are departmentalized or not. I don't want you to worry about filling this part out. That I just wanted you to have an awareness of it. We're also not going to worry about the total number of hours per week. That's something that you will do when you do your IEP, and you determine how many hours they're going to be in gen ed and how many hours in special ed, because that has to be counted for the state. So that's kind of a data collection. It's also looking at whether the student, how much time the student's out in gen ed. Remember, the district has to have in process that piece of it. You have to be looking at trying to keep the student in gen ed if at all possible. And then we're going to talk about extended school year services at another time, so do not worry about the bottom part of the IEP. I only want you to worry right now about, you can click in the reporting progress and how and when you're going to do it, and then look at the special education program services and rule numbers. Okay, so this piece of it, you're going to determine what programs and services you're going to be given to the student. And if you use your quick tips, it lists those for you. The programs and services that are available are also in the Michigan Administrative Rules for Special Ed. It gives you the rule number and what program you're going to place them in. That's part of the continuum conversation. So in your quick reference guide, I believe it's in the back at the very end on page 5, they list all the related services, which are like occupational therapy, physical therapy, services for speech and language impairment, teacher consultants, nursing services, counseling services. So if the student needs any of those, you need to make sure that the services are in there, because sometimes the student may only be supported with services. They may need just a speech therapist and may not need to be in a program. The programs are like the severe cognitive impairment program. That's like a classroom or a school setting. Programs for students with moderate cognitive impairment. Programs for students with mild cognitive impairment. Programs for students with hearing impairment. Programs for students with visual impairment. And those rule numbers are listed in the Michigan Administrative Rules for Special Ed, but they're also in the quick tips that I've provided for you in the unit. So make sure you read through those, and those are available to you on page 5, and you need to be looking at those as you're determining your programs and services for Sarah. So I have just done an example one. So it says special education programs and services, the rule number. So here's my rule number, 3401747, and I got it on page 5 of the quick tips. So looking at Sarah's needs and her pieces that we're going to base it on, looking at her evaluations, I'm going to say that she needs to be supported by specific learning disabilities, by being in that program, whether that's being in the classroom or being supported by the teacher who runs that program. Okay, so I'm going to put the rule number and the name of the program. Then I need to tell the frequency and duration. How often and for how long is she going to be in that program? She's going to go 1 period a day, 5 times per week. And where is that going to be located? She is going to go to the SLD classroom. You can't say gen ed or special ed. You have to give the specific classroom. You have to be specific here. Where is that going to be taking place at? In the SLD classroom. Okay? Sometimes in some districts the classes may only run 3 days a week. So if she's only going to be there Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you would put 1 period a day, 3 days a week, and you could put Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You can be that specific. Remember that these services and programs run for the duration of the IEP. The IEP is for 365 days. So she's going to do this unless otherwise specified for that amount of time. And usually it runs the whole time. She's on a schedule just like other students. So it's usually going to run the duration of the IEP. Then I put that she's going to have, once again, she's going to be supported by the specific learning disability classroom or teacher for 2 periods a day, 5 times per week. Where is this going to happen? In the Gen Ed math class and the Gen Ed English class. That means that the special ed teacher is going to go to the Gen Ed classroom in a co-teaching supported position possibly. So the student's going to attend the regular ed Gen Ed classroom, and the special education teacher is going to come in and support that student. So remember, special education is a service, not a place. It does not have to be provided in the special ed classroom. It's showing me here that she's going to get that support out in the Gen Ed classroom. Okay? So you'll notice that I didn't list any programs, but I did, we did talk about programs. So I didn't put in any speech or language or audiological services or any of those pieces. I only looked at the programs because Sarah didn't need any at this time. You could also have listed here, if the student needs speech services, you would put those in here and they would be listed. So you may need more than 2 or 3. So I would like you to decide where she best needs to be placed based on her needs and put those pieces into the programs and services. It's just this basic. You don't have to have a lot of description, just the special ed program and service rule number, list the program or the service, the frequency and duration that she's going to be there. You decide if it's 1 day, 2 days based on your school schedule, and then the specific location. So like if she had a behavior plan or she was going to have a counselor, the location might be in the speech therapy room. It might be on the playground. It might be in the cafeteria. It just depends on the program or service where it's going to be given, the specific location. So that's what you have to do for your assignment throughout the next week. If you have any questions, please let me know.